Hey guys, what's up and welcome to a new Tesla update video. So today, as usual, let's go over Tesla, go over the market. It's about to close in just a few minutes, and Tesla looking like it will be closing at about $170 per share, putting it up about 5.5%. So as we talked about yesterday, a big move is coming, and as you can see, it's clearly here. So we'll discuss all of it. What does it mean? Is there more room to the upside? Is this the top? Moving forward, of course, let's figure out. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to hit that like button. Again, this is not financial advice. Make your own decisions, do your own research. I'm not a financial advisor, and I have also enabled subscriptions on the channel just so over the weekend, if you want or are interested, you can start, subscribing, and then starting Monday, I will be posting content in the subscriber only mode. Pretty much posting charts of Tesla intraday, giving you any meaningful updates that I personally believe are worth sharing throughout the day as well, on top of the video, of course, after as well. So all that being said and done, guys, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button. Jumping into it though, what does this mean, right? Is this the top? Are we, is it time for Tesla to crash, or, is there more room to the upside? Let's figure all of that out. So first and foremost, you can see Tesla is essentially having a little bit of issues breaking and holding above $170, which is just a bit of a psychological level. And you can see before we've had some rejections here, we had some supports here as well, right? So it is a pretty crucial level. We kind of went up almost to it exactly with this candle here, and then got severe rejection. So we're pretty much right at it. And on top of that, we are essentially more or less right at the 100-day moving average, which you can see, of course, is the yellow line. We're closing above it, it seems like. There's only 2 minutes left, so I'll be shocked if we actually go below it. We might, but we'll see in the video, of course. But we're pretty much right at it, right? So, and it's not like substantially higher as well, right? It's not like some insane, like all the way up here or whatever, right? We're pretty damn close to it. So just keep that in mind with the 170 rejection. So there is a possibility that this is a short-term top. However, with that being said, I personally do believe that there is going to be more than likely more room to the upside. So we were in this consolidation, so I can actually remove this now, right? Going kind of sideways here, had an inverted head and shoulders pattern that we've talked about several times, and people were thinking that, Tesla's going to fall even lower, and, they're like, how could you be bullish, right? But, you have to take any bias aside and just kind of just look at what the chart says. It doesn't matter, remove any bias, just what does the chart say? It said that there is more likely of a chance to go up than down, right? And that's what we were planning towards. Now, I have started selling cash secured puts on this rally, and I will continue selling more and potentially just sell some shares if we actually get up closer to 180, which I still think is very, very possible. But, all in all, we had this kind of situation play out, right, where we had this inverted head and shoulders, right? And then the way you can usually measure how far an inverted head and shoulders is roughly is the neck point, right? Like, where does it break? You can see it's somewhere around this level. So you kind of measure something like this, right, from the bottom to the top roughly, and then you measure from the breakout. Oops, let me grab this thing here, and you can see it can go up somewhere to pretty much the mid, to potentially even as high as 180, right? So that's kind of more or less actually where I personally think it'll go to, right? I still think there is an absolutely real possibility, but as we talked about several times before, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you have a breakout out of a consolidation range, what usually happens and what's common to happen after that, a retest of that breakout. So with that being said, there is a possibility, a very real possibility, that we come down first to overall get this retest from this breakout that we just had today. And then from there, we make our way higher to the overall price target, which again, to me right now is around the mid 170s. Best case, in my opinion, is about $180. So just keep that in mind, right? That is still an absolutely real possibility. And we did close it pretty much on the dot at 170, though it's hardly above 170. So, I wouldn't say it's a very convincing close above 170. So just keep that in mind. To me, this opens up a real possibility of an actual retest that we just discussed. However, with that being said, right, whether we get this retest or whether we just continue rallying on Monday, right, which is also a very real possibility, I do believe that there is still ultimately more room to the upside. I still believe that 175 roughly will get touched again, potentially even as high as $180. And I'll give you guys a few more reasons as to why I personally believe that as I end up finally clicking on these lines here. There we go. So first and foremost, right, going over, so let's do the 3 hour here, right? It gives you a decent idea in my opinion. If we kind of, condense the chart a little bit here and we bring out the Fibonacci from the swing high, which is over here, right, to the swing low, which is all the way down over here at 152. You can see the 0.382 level to the 0.5 level is between $173 to $180. This to me is an absolutely massive zone of resistance that's going to most likely come into fruition, right? You can see we were getting rejected by the 236 level over here several times at that 166-ish level, right? But now that we finally broke through, finally broke out of that consolidation with the RSI looking pretty beautiful on pretty much every single time frame right now, right? Still looking pretty bullish for the most part, except for when you get to the lower time frames. Even the lower time frames are actually looking pretty pretty okay, in all honesty. Looking a little bit less convincing on the 30-minute, but definitely not showing any signs of bearishness just yet. But with that being said, again, very common to retest breakouts, which I still think is very possible. So in other words, again, most likely make our way down potentially to 165, something like that, and then probably shoot our way even higher to as high as 170, kind of 4-ish to 180, right? With the Fibonacci, of course, levels that we just discussed being right here. So that is very important to understand, right? So 173 to 180 is like that overall range should be at least in my opinion, a range of supply, a range of selling pressure, right? So that is what I will be personally waiting for, which also is, pretty much the gap fill at this 180 level. And we also have another gap at 184. I'd be pretty surprised if we fill the 184 gap, but I wouldn't be too surprised if we do fill this 180 gap. You can see right above us right here on this candle on the 19th of April. So that's that, right? On top of that, the volume today, not the best volume in the entire world, in all honesty. And I'll give you guys another reason as to why I think this rally, by the way, even though I do think there is more room to the upside, is ultimately going to end up being a bull trap. And I'll give you guys a reason as to why that is very soon, right? But that's kind of the main things that I am personally looking at as of right now. So keep that in mind. We're above the 10-day moving average, right? We're still well below the 200-day moving average. It's not even worth talking about. And the 50-day moving average is actually coming down to meet us. Most likely might actually meet us at the 180 level, especially if we get a retest and have like a couple of red days, potentially kind of, moving into CPI, which I believe is next week on Wednesday, right? Typical, fear into CPI, typical like market kind of selling off into CPI, that business, right? That it usually does, in all honesty, would be perfect time for it to kind of get that, chance to retest this breakout up until into CPI, and then maybe get that final leg up, which as that happens, I also believe is when that moving average that we just discussed, being the 50-day moving average, will most likely make its way down slowly but surely to around the 180, maybe even into the 170s, and will potentially get rejected by that as well. So that is extremely, a real possibility. So that's kind of the main things I am personally looking at for Tesla as of right now. But ultimately, guys, a very nice candle closure above a level that we couldn't, several times, you can see, which is very, very bullish. And even though there might be a short-term pullback for the retest, it is still short-term overall bullish over being bearish. On top of that, the VIX has had a massive rejection at the 20 level as well. So it is having a lot of issues closing and holding around that 20 level. So that's, really good for the market, right? Apple, of course, did phenomenal with its earnings, pretty much beating most expectations, which is great. So it's rallying, bringing up the market with it, because Tesla is essentially rallying with the market, though arguably slightly outperforming, right? But I did talk about how I personally believe this to be probably like a pretty decent chance of this being a pretty big bull trap once Tesla gets to that range I just discussed, 175, maybe 180. And the reason for that, and the reason I think this rally is even happening, is more of a short squeeze, like a short cover. And the reason that is because going into FOMC the other day, what was that, Wednesday now? Or was it Thursday? I think it was Wednesday, right? There was, a lot of people, there was more hedging moving into FOMC on, I believe it was Wednesday, right? So that's extremely important to understand. And the reason there was that is because, who knows what, the Fed will do, what Powell will say, right? And now that that's out of the way, and especially with something like Apple earnings out of the way, which I'm sure there was a good amount of hedging as well for that as well on top of the FOMC, we're getting a bit of a relief from the market, a bit of like a release of the shorts, right? They're covering their shorts that, kind of unknown factor that, question mark is sort of no longer a question mark because they have now been announced, right? The information is there. So keep that in mind. That is something important to understand. And because that has been sort of done with and, done and gone, we're getting a bit of a, relief rally from that, just simply from short covering, in my opinion. That's just what I think. And with CPI coming in as well, we might get a similar concept where we get a sell-off into CPI, more hedging, VIX probably pumping a little bit. CPI comes out, and we get a bit of a short squeeze again, get a bit of a rally, almost like regardless of what CPI is, unless it's like horribly bad. And then I think that's what it'll bring us over to that 175 to 180 level on Tesla, and the market will most likely go even higher as well with Tesla, of course. But I think once that is done, I think that's when we'll probably get an actual fall in the market and Tesla again. So I personally just believe this is nothing but a short squeeze as of right now. It's just a relief, right? Just people exiting their shorts that they hedged essentially. But that's just my opinion. That's just what I think. Could be completely wrong, obviously, just my opinion. But that is kind of essentially more or less what I am thinking. We looked at TSLQ the other day as well, saying how, there's no other way to put it than this situation here just looking pretty bearish. And you can see it is now falling pretty aggressively, which of course is giving TSLA room to run. And I personally wouldn't be surprised if it does fall to closer to actually 50 on the dot, if not even 49, which also gives Tesla room up to a potentially even $180. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, guys, as of right now. TLDR, short and sweet, most likely get a bit of a pain going into CPI, retest of this breakout. Ultimately, Tesla short term is bullish, most likely rally up to 175 to potentially even as high as 180, and then ultimately have a pretty decent bull trap after some potential consolidation. And I think from there, we'll at the very least come back down to around this double bottom level of low 150s to potentially even this final gap fill around 145 or so. That's kind of what I'm thinking. That's what I'm seeing. So let me know what you think down below. Monday, I will start posting charts intraday once Tesla's trading and stuff like that. If there's anything meaningful to share, just keep that in mind. It won't be every single day. Sometimes it'll be several times in a single day. It really just depends on what Tesla's doing, how it's moving, and if it's hitting any key levels that I think is worth sharing. But that's that. Let me know what you guys think down below. The membership is now open, so if you're interested, definitely feel free to subscribe. Completely optional, of course, but the videos will not stop. I will still be uploading these videos every single day. It's just extra information in real time is the extra, I guess, benefit, if you will, if you would want that. But otherwise, thank you so much for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Actually, I forgot before I close this off, I do want to look at the weekly candle. So you can see, remember how we talked about yesterday, the weekly candle on Thursday's close looked very kind of sus and not very convincing. And we said how all it takes is one day tomorrow, which is today now, and it can completely look different. Perfect example of that right here and right now. Much cleaner looking weekly candle, beautiful follow-up from here. And in all honesty, with this kind of weekly candle, after this kind of follow-up, this really does confirm to me that there's definitely more upside. Like I'm like 90% sure there is overall more upside. Doesn't have to be a lot more upside, and I don't think it'll go much more than 180, but I definitely think there is a much higher probability of further upside next week than downside. But we'll see. You never know for sure. I am slowly entering sold calls on the shares that I do own, just in case, of course, right? Because you never really know with this kind of market. But otherwise, thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on Monday. Peace.